So one of the questions I want to talk about tonight on the NBA Rundown is there really a legitimate team in the National Basketball Association that has a legitimate chance to actually take down OKC in a NBA Western Conference Finals or a NBA Finals? Welcome back to the NBA Rundown. As always, North America, I'm Dave DeBaugh. I am super excited tonight. We are just one sleep away from the start of the NBA season. I'm totally fired up. On tonight's show, we're going to talk about 5 teams that I think have legitimate chances of actually beating OKC in a 7-game playoff series. 3 of those teams are actually going to come out of the Western Conference, and 2 of those teams are going to come out of the Eastern Conference. Look, I want to know what your thoughts are. Who do you think it has a legitimate chance, seriously, to take down OKC this upcoming season? Now, we're assuming that everybody stays healthy for the most part with OKC. As the season starts, Alex Caruso is nursing an ankle injury. That's probably the biggest injury entering the season that OKC is currently really dealing with at this point. And when you look at this OKC roster and you look at some of the other rosters around the National Basketball Association, it really is an interesting question, if you will, to actually talk about the 5 teams that have a legitimate chance of actually taking down OKC. Now, before we do that, I want to get into my predictions on the top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, and then we'll get into who I think can actually take down OKC in a playoff series, if any of them can really actually do that. So we're going to start with the Western Conference, and of course it's OKC in a number 1 position. That's where I have them rated at the start of the season. In at number 2, not far behind OKC, is of course the Denver Nuggets. Some fantastic offseason additions. And of course, the Joker is the Joker. He doesn't look like he's put on an additional baby weight at all during the offseason. I really believe in this Denver Nuggets team a lot. I have them in the 2nd spot. The trendy thing to do is to actually put the Houston Rockets in at 3, but I'm going to pay respect to my Minnesota Timberwolves, who have actually been to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row, and slot them in at number 3 with an asterisk, which is you need to find a replacement for Mike Conley before the playoffs start, Minnesota. And in at number 4 is the Houston Rockets, obviously with Kevin Durant and the other additions, Clint Capella, Dorius Finney-Smith. The fact that Şengün's on the team, Amon Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr. It's a totally loaded roster, Tari Eason, etc. A lot riding on the shoulders of one Reed Shepherd. One of the reasons I don't have them slotted a little higher than they currently are at number 4. It's a long season. Things can change. Then I'm going to pay respect to Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. Look, we all know all 3 of them are actually getting up there in age. And I'm not really sure what the hell Steve Kerr's been doing with Jonathan Kuminga these last couple of years. I live here in the Bay Area. I get to see this actually unfold in real time. Kuminga has a ton of talent. He should be afforded the opportunity to actually become a star. That should happen in Golden State. Most likely won't. He'll probably be traded. But I have the Warriors in at number 5. And in at number 6, I have Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves. Want to pay respect to them. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity there with that Los Angeles Laker team to actually go really far in the playoffs if everybody is healthy. I think they're going to need to make an addition or 2 during the season as well. So that's the Western Conference top six that I think will be there and not have to suffer through the play-in. Now, in terms of the Eastern Conference, it's just flat out so confusing this year, especially considering that Jason Tatum, though he's trying to get back, most likely won't get back. I mean, like realistically, I don't think we'll see Jason Tatum play this year. So in at number one is the Cleveland Cavaliers. In at number two is the New York Knicks. In at number three, it just becomes blurry at that point. A lot of people have Orlando, and I'll go ahead and pencil Orlando in at number three. In at number four, I would have to have the Houston Rockets, the Atlanta Hawks. And in at number five, I'm going to have the Detroit Pistons, and then I'm going to pay some respect to the Boston Celtics and the Celtics organization and say that they're deep enough to figure out how to actually end up avoiding the play-in this year. So those are my quick thoughts on the Eastern Conference. Now, the original topic of tonight's podcast on the NBA Rundown is to really talk about which teams have legitimate chances to actually take down OKC in a 7-game series. In other words, who might actually match up well, or who might actually have enough superstars on their team to be dangerous against OKC. Now, we're going to start in the Eastern Conference and going to start with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And really this, for me, comes down to Darius Garland. If Darius Garland were to actually show up in a 7-game series, then I think the Cleveland Cavaliers would match up fairly well with OKC. It's all about how can you actually stop SGA? How can you actually get in front of SGA? Do you have anybody that can stick with him and prevent him from actually running wild against your zone or man defenses? Cleveland, certainly from a backline perspective, it has a strong defense. I think Darius Garland is the outlier. He would have to deliver on both sides of the court for Cleveland to actually have a legitimate chance of beating OKC. So that's one team. And then the other team, of course, is the New York Knicks. I love the Knicks roster. I love the new hiring of Mike Brown. I mean, I thought it was wrong to get rid of Thibodeau in the first place, but now that Mike Brown's there, now I understand he's going to play more than 7.5 players per game. I think if everybody's healthy, the Knicks would match up in an interesting way against OKC. And certainly if they played Tom Thibodeau style defense from like 2 or 3 years ago, I think the Knicks could actually hang with OKC, so to speak. The three teams coming out of the Western Conference, obviously it's the Denver Nuggets. They're the team that I think on paper have the best chance of actually taking down OKC. The other two teams I have slotted in, one being the Los Angeles Lakers, paying some respect, of course, to Luka Doncic, of course, to LeBron James and Austin Reeves. And I think the Lakers, if they feel like they have a legitimate chance, will make the necessary moves to bring in additional help. It's the new ownership group. It's the desire to win now. It's the fact that we're towards the end of LeBron James's career. It's Luka's first full season with the Los Angeles Lakers. They, trust me, want to be able to win now. They won't make moves, though, if they don't believe they have a legitimate chance. I think they do. So, Denver and the Lakers might surprise you. And then I think we have to be fair to the Minnesota Timberwolves, just simply because they've been to the Western Conference 2 years in a row. Now, certainly something would have to change with this Timberwolves team in order for them to actually beat OKC. I mean, we saw what happened last year. Now, I've seen the Timberwolves over the last couple of years devise strategies to actually beat OKC. They didn't do that, obviously, in the Western Conference Finals. And I think Chris Finch, the head coach of the Timberwolves, if he is able to actually get a legitimate Mike Conley replacement between now and the playoffs, somebody who is, if you will, a really good, talented point guard who can do a good job also playing defense. I think there's enough bodies on this Minnesota Timberwolves team. There's also a bunch of youth players that a lot of you out there probably haven't heard of, one of them being Terrence Shannon Jr., that I certainly think could make a significant difference over what actually happened last year in the Western Conference. But hands down, if we had to say, who's a better player today, SGA or Ant-Man, the answer, of course, is SGA. So while I think it's highly unlikely any of the teams I just mentioned are actually going to beat OKC this year, and once again, this is assuming that there are no major injuries, I think OKC has a legitimate chance of actually repeating this year. I'd give them about a 70% chance of actually putting on another NBA championship ring. All right, I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions. NBA season, as I mentioned, is one sleep away. Can't wait to get into it. We'll be covering a lot of it on the NBA Rundown podcast. New to the show, please go ahead and subscribe. And of course, like this video. For the NBA Rundown, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous amount of good luck, because we all know we're going to need it.